Alright. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala. First of all, can I ask anybody has prayed the eclipse prayer? Put your finger up, please. Eclipse prayer. Who has prayed eclipse prayer? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Quite a lot of people. Who hasn't prayed eclipse prayer? The ones who hasn't prayed equal to the one who has prayed, or even a bit more. What did you pray, Khadr?
Back in the day.
Back in the days. Did you pray properly?
I'm not sure, I can't remember.
Okay. This is a prayer that we don't really normally see, like the normal prayers, like Jumu'ah, like the Eidain. It could be like, it happens in your lifetime maybe once or twice. Like in the time of the Prophet of Allah, only happened once, with an eclipse prayer. Eclipse prayer at that time, it was not astronomically calculated. Like now we know precisely when and where the eclipse will take. The eclipse is either the moon or the sun. We call it khusuf or khusuf. Khusuf or khusuf. Khusuf al-shams or khusuf al-qamar. Khusuf al-shams or khusuf al-qamar. Both words that can be used for both. And this is a phenomenon which is a great one to show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's precision in His creation. Whereas a little size, which is like the moon, can block completely the light that is presented or which is from the sun to reach the earth. And not only that, precise size. That means if it was a full eclipse, the moon size will be exactly, in ratio-wise, covering exactly the disk of the sun. Do you understand that? Not slightly bigger or smaller. And that's precision. That means the moon comes into the orbit in such a distance that mathematicians had to work it out. And mathematician can work out things like, for example, maybe in centimeters, but this is to do with years of light. Years of light. And to put the moon in a place between the earth and the sun so that the moon exactly covers the disk, so the disk of the moon will be matching the disk of the sun. And that's called total eclipse. Whether it is total or partial eclipse, the eclipse prayer will take place. Now it hasn't got a lot in this chapter title, but we need to make more points regarding this prayer from other hadiths. So number one, we say that this Salat al-Kusuf is deemed to be obligatory by some scholars. So it's not all scholars, they say it's voluntary prayer. Because the Prophet said, when you see something like this, then rush to the prayer. People, they would rush to where? To telescopes, to see what is that phenomenon. It does actually rush to the prayer. Number 2 point, that the eclipse has to be sighted. Meaning, if the eclipse was said to be, there's eclipse, but there's clouds obscuring that eclipse, there's no prayer. So I have to see it with my own naked eye. Eclipse of the moon, that there will be darkness during the day, and eclipse of the sun, that means there will be darkness during the day, and eclipse of the moon, there will be darkness during the night. So you'll find the moon is there, but its light cannot be seen. Why? Because the earth is blocking the rays of the sun to reach the moon. The opposite. And we said point number 3, which we already have stated, but we reinstate that, which is that partial or total eclipse, it doesn't matter. We will make with prayer. Now, how do we call for the prayer? If we are using the loudspeakers for the people to come, we say, As-salatu jami'ah. As-salatu jami'ah. But if there is no call outside, we just wait for the Imam to stand up and offer the prayer. But for the people outside, the caller of the adhan will not make adhan or iqamah. He will say, Salatu Jami'ah, and will start coming to the prayer. That means the prayer makes the congregation come to the prayer. That's what it means. It is done in the mosque, in contrast to the Eid prayer, and in contrast to the istisqa, seeking rain prayer. This is in the masjid, not outside. Also, another point, women can join the prayer. And the prayer takes place at the moment of the eclipse. So once the eclipse starts, so once we see the disk of the moon covering part of the sun, or the earth disk covering part of the sun to reach the moon, we'll start the prayer. And the prayer ideally should last until the eclipse is what? Complete. That was a long prayer. This prayer consists of 2 rak'ah. Each rak'ah contains 2 ruku'. Recitation of the Fatiha and Surah is performed before each of the 2 ruku' in both rak'ahs. So how many Fatihas we have? 4. So 2 rak'ah with 4 Fatiha. So we start Takbirat al-Ihram, Allahu Akbar, Fatiha, Surah, Allahu Akbar, ruku', long ones. Sami Allahu liman hamida, Rabbana lakal hamd. Then he will start Fatiha again. And then either he will continue the surah if he hasn't finished it, or you want to go to another surah, no problem. And he will continue reading. And then Allahu Akbar for ruku', then Sami Allahu liman hamida, Rabbana lakal hamd, and Allahu Akbar for sujood, and so on and so forth. This is the first rak'ah. Then he does the same in the second rak'ah. So you've got 4 ruku' and 4 Fatiha and 4 sujood, and it's only 2 rak'ah. No specific surah, but long, because you're going to have eclipse. Also, there's a loud prayer. It's not a silent prayer. So you read it loud. So the Imam has to read it a loud recitation. It's not dhuhr. So regardless what time you're going to do it, it's a loud recitation. Long ruku' and long sujood. If you caught up with the second ruku' of any rak'ah, then you caught up with the whole rak'ah. So let's say you missed the first ruku' of the first rak'ah, and you did not miss the second ruku' of the first rak'ah. You have caught up with the rak'ah. But if you missed the ruku', which is the second ruku' of any rak'ah, then you miss the whole rak'ah. You have to do it again, and you do it in the same manner. That means if you want to, let's say you missed 1 rak'ah, you came after the second ruku', after Sami Allahu liman hamida from the second ruku', the first rak'ah, then you do the second rak'ah plus another rak'ah in the same manner, meaning with 2 ruku'. You repeat it exactly the same. If you have missed all the prayer, then there is no qada for it. So you did not catch up with the prayer, then there is no qada. You don't do it, and you don't come tell another imam, go and stand up, make a, like we do in the congregational prayer, go and make another eclipse prayer for us. Okay? Or you could just do it in your 4 or 5 people together. Now that's it. The imam done it, khalas, it's finished. After that, it is an act of sunnah, not compulsory. So if you could deem the prayer to be compulsory according to some of the scholars, but the khutbah is not compulsory. It's an act of sunnah for the imam to make a khutbah after the prayer. And this khutbah is one khutbah. It's not like Jumu'ah where you have a break in the middle. It's one khutbah, complete. In that khutbah, the imam would remind the people to make dua, takbir, and also pay charity. Prophet is focused on paying charity. So you pay charity during the time of eclipse. You should remind them to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, taqwa Allah azza wa jalla. By which, alhamdulillah, I think I completed talking about the eclipse prayer in details. And I know that this information will not sink in because you don't do that prayer very often. so you might forget it. Just like when I learned my my first aid course, first aid, I forgot it. If something happened to me, I don't do it every day. So I'm going to go and read this. Hang on, before you die, brother, let me just read my notes. Give you first aid. So in the eclipse prayer, you have to read your notes when it comes. You have time, inshallah. Right, let's go now to the khutbah ba'd al-salah. Read.
His speech, khutbah after the prayer. It is sunnah for the imam, after making the salutation of the prayer, to address the people, admonishing them, reminding them and encouraging them to do good deeds. Aisha radiallahu anha narrated that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam prayed during a solar eclipse. She then described the prayer, mentioning that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam gave the salutation after the sun had already reappeared. Then he addressed the people, saying about the solar and lunar eclipses, there are two signs of the signs of Allah. They do not eclipse due to the life or death of anyone. So if you see them, rush to the prayer. Asma radiallahu anha said, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam ordered for the freeing of slaves during the solar eclipse.
And that's type of charity.
Abu Musa radiallahu anhu said, there was a solar eclipse, so the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam got up alarmed, fearing that it may be the hour of doomsday. He came to the mosque and prayed with the longest standing, bowing of prostration that I had ever seen him perform. He then said, these signs that Allah sends are not due to the death or life of anyone. Instead, Allah puts the fear of Him into His slaves by such signs. If you see anything of this nature, rush to His remembrance, supplicating to Him and seeking His forgiveness. The apparent meaning of the Prophet's words, rush to, imply obligation. Thus, the eclipse prayer is a communal obligation. As Abu Awana said in his Sahih, volume 2, page 398, wherein he entitled a chapter clarifying the obligatory status of the eclipse prayer. Then he presented some of the hadith that order its performance. Ibn Khuzayma's chapter heading has the same implication. He stated, volume 2, page 38, chapter, the order to pray during a solar or lunar eclipse. He also mentioned some of the hadith that order its performance. Ibn Hajar stated in Fath al-Bari, volume 2, page 527, the majority of the scholars state that it is an emphasized sunnah. Abu Awana explicitly stated in his Sahih that it is obligatory, but I have not seen that from other than him, except what is related from Malik, who consider it to be similar to the Friday prayer. Zayn.
Okay, right, so you can just see the difference among the scholars regarding its obligation. Okay, well, I would say to you, don't lose that prayer. If it comes, don't lose that prayer. Okay, let's go to this istisqa prayer, please.
The prayer for rain, Salatul Istisqa. If the prayer stops and the land becomes dry, it is recommended to go to the place of the Eid prayer, which is usually outside the city, to perform the prayer for rain. The Imam leads the people in two rak'ahs, making a lot of supplication and seeking forgiveness. He also turns his garment inside out, putting what would usually be on his right side over his left side, and vice versa. Abbad ibn Tamim narrated from his uncle Abdullah ibn Zayd, who said the Prophet ﷺ went out to the place of prayer and prayed for the rain. Facing the Qibla, performed 2 rak'ahs and inverted his cloak. Sufyan said that al-Mas'udi informed him from Abu Bakr radiallahu anh that meant that he would put the right side of his garment over his left side. He also said, I saw the Prophet when he went out to perform the prayer for rain, he turned his back to the people, faced the Qibla and supplicated. Then he inverted his cloak and led us in 2 rak'ahs of prayer, reciting the Quran audibly therein.
Okay, let's summarize what is the Salatul Istisqa. Points for verily, we say that it is prayed when there is drought. That's the first point. So there is a drought, so it is not going to be prayed in this country. You've got too much rain here. So when there is drought, you pray Salatul Istisqa. And there are 3 ways of doing istisqa prayers. It's only mentioning here one of them. The first one, which is specifying 2 rak'ah for istisqa. And that's the hadith that is being mentioned with us. And the 2 rak'ah here, it is performed in the musalla. It's not in the masjid like the eclipse. So we tell the people to go to a certain area, outside the city or inside the city, wherever. Muslims should go to the istisqa prayer with submissiveness and in humble and low manners, invoking Allah for His mercy. So they're not going with pride and arrogance. They're going, showing signs that they are in poverty, in need of the rain. It is preferred for the prayer to be united for the whole country. So the whole country will have one prayer. So the more people come to the prayer, the better it is. So whole country, whole area, whole city. Not to have each area like in Aylesbury 3 prayers, for example. Let's say. No, it's all of it one prayer. It's an act of sunnah to set up a pulpit for the imam to deliver his khutbah in the musalla. So they will bring him what? A mimbar, a pulpit. Not the pulpit like the one that you got, mashallah. Then it's mobilized one. But the pulpit is these one skyscrapers. How can they take them to the place where they're going to make the musalla, the salat al-istisqa? And the etiquette of the salat al-istisqa is as follows. First, the imam will address the people with khutbah. Remember the eclipse? We start with the prayer, then the khutbah. This one is what? Khutbah. Okay? In which he will remind them to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and invoke Him to send down the rain. Now it is sunnah only for the imam to stretch fully or fully stretch his arms during the dua, which we call ittihad, like that. So he's raising up both his hands above his head. Whereas the people should raise their hands in the normal way, that way. Okay? That is the way. And we don't do like this. That's not correct. So your palms, for the sisters, the palms pointing upwards, not pointing towards your face. And the back of your arm, back of your hand is towards the qibla. That's not authentic, but it's like that. Okay? So it's an act of sunnah for the imam to fully stretch his arms in dua with the people doing it the normal way. It's an act of sunnah for the imam only to keep the back of his hands pointing to the heavens while raising his dua, not for the people. Meaning, the imam is, while he's doing dua, he will do like this. So the back of his hands will be pointing upwards. And this is just to say to Allah, we want to change the situation. We're asking for change of status. The imam should then turn his back to the people to face the qibla and invert his cloak, keeping his hands raised and continuing making dua. So while he is doing like this, dua like that, so he's going to turn his back towards where? So he's going to be he turns his back to the people, and you're going to feel, so while he's talking to the people like that, he's going to do the qibla now, yeah? He's going to put his back to the people and his face towards the qibla. And at the same time, he's going to be, as well, invert his cloak. So once he turned like this, inverting the cloak is like that. Okay, that's the way. I just took for the sisters, the sleeves, inside out. So what's happened now is my right is on my left and my left is on right. You know that? This is the left sleeve. Come to the where? The right hand. And the right sleeve went to the left hand. You want to prove that? You know what I'm talking about. So this is now, look, left. Get down. When I dress up, where is the left is going to go? To my right. Do you see it? Okay. Yeah. The Imam should then turn, as we said, turn his back to the people, to face Qibla, and invert his cloak, keeping his hands raised and continuing how we've said it. Inversion of the cloak is only for the Imam, nobody else. We found that some of the people do this in Saudi Arabia, everybody does that, but it actually hasn't been documented except from the Imam. That's the correct. Inversion of the cloak is performed by turning the outer garment, as we have said and we have seen, placing its left side on the right of the Imam, its right side on the left side of his. Imam then, after that, he should face the people, round up his sermon, and step down from the pulpit to pray. So the sermon first, and then what? Prayer. No adhan, no iqama, no as-salatu jami'ah. So what is the difference between the eclipse and this istisqa, ya Ismail?
The khutbah is before.
No, talking about in terms of calling to the prayer.
You don't say anything.
Why do we don't say anything for the istisqa and we say for the eclipse as-salatu jami'ah? Anybody give me logic with that? If there is any logic.
So the people understand that it's the eclipse.
So the people understand it's eclipse.
Because when you put it down, they understand what's happening.
Okay. The eclipse at the time of the Prophet happens without any preparation. Whereas the istisqa, they will get together and will decide tomorrow we're going to pray, for example, istisqa. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Whereas the eclipse, at that time, it should take place as in what? Sudden, happiness. So you can ask the following question. Do we need to say it now these days? Because everybody's prepared for it. They know what time it is exactly in which place. We don't need to say as-salatu jami'ah. Because this as-salatu jami'ah is which we call it ma'qul al-ma'na, something which is common sense. If it's common sense, then it goes with the reason. And there's no reason. There is no need to say as-salatu because everybody is prepared and they are even before the eclipse takes place in the masjid waiting for it. Because they know what time is going to take place. And even some of them would pray it because the astronomical or the calculation said there is eclipse but they can't see it because of the rain. They pray it. So many messages have prayed it. Yes? Yes. Without seeing it. I know someone in the last eclipse last year, lots of people in London, they just prayed it. Even, have you seen it? No, he just prayed it. Calculation wise. Right. The prayer is consistent normal 2 rak'ah. It's prayed in congregation behind the imam, not to be prayed in the impermissible times. Not to be prayed in the impermissible times. Different from the eclipse. The eclipse is regardless whether it takes time during the zawal or do you understand? Just about the sunset, we will do the eclipse prayer. But this one, it has to be during the non-impermissible time. So if it's a permissible time, like the zenith or the sunset or the sunrise, no, none of that. No specific surahs, again, and it is loud recitation. This is the first way of making istisqa. Second way of making istisqa is dua during Jumu'ah sermon. Prophet of Allah, he was in the Jumu'ah delivering his khutbah. A man came and he stopped the Prophet was delivering the khutbah. Messenger of Allah, drought. Animals are dying. Call upon Allah to give us rain. So he just, while he was giving the khutbah, he raised up his hand and he said, "Oh Lord, aghithna, give us rain." And he kept asking for the rain. And then he rounded up the khutbah, prayed the 2 rak'ah of Jumu'ah. There's no salah for istisqa, just Jumu'ah. This is. And when they left, Anas, he said, Wallah, there was a big, massive cloud, came and started raining. Not raining, pouring. Okay, pouring until the following week. You know, it poured until the following. Remember, there's no drainage. There's no sewage system. That's flood. So the following week, in the following khutbah, a Bedouin man, the scholars, they said, is it the same one or not? The one who came to Jumu'ah before. Messenger of Allah, too much rain, we're dying. Prophet is smiling. Prophet was smiling. Why? Because how the man is changeable. He changes from switch from one status to another status. Allah, Messenger of Allah, call Allah that takes the rain away from us. So the Prophet of Allah, he said, حوالينا ولا علينا على الآكام والأضرام, on top of the mountains and top of, around the Medina. Because the rain, if it's not beneficial here, it's beneficial what? Somewhere else. Rains, water. And you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fulfilling the promise which the Prophet Allah told us about. ستعود جزيرة العرب مروجا وأنهارا. Verily the Arabian Peninsula is going to go back as it was. Muruj means orchards. وأنهارا, rivers. We're seeing this now very well. Green mountains which are full of black rocks. How can you have green and black rocks? And green. Having snow where you don't have snow here. Yeah. Yesterday in Saudi Arabia. Yesterday. And by the way, Medina, it had hail already in the Masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. And I've been updated day by day, but yesterday I was amazed. That what happened yesterday. Bismillah. Okay, what's up? Videos. Right, this is the flood that's taking place in Medina. Look. Look. That's sea inside the street. Okay, and that is in Medina. Look. Almost reaching the street. That's dangerous. Look. Mud and everything. And that was an amazing one. Look, the morning you wake up. Look at that. You see, they're not really even dressed up for the winter. This is hail. Hail. You know the hail? SubhanAllah, look. Desert, this is the desert. Everybody's recording. So many. SubhanAllah. The hail on desert. That's amazing. Allah musta'an. طيب. I'm sorry the sisters can't see, but this is Burj Khalifa 2 days ago. This is Burj Khalifa. The highest Burj Khalifa? That's 2 days ago. Look at the amount of rain that come to it. That's going to be covered now. Look, disappeared. Now he comes to, and you're gonna reach him now, then he's gonna run away himself. He's scared now. Got him, dude.
Is he not one of those storm chasers?
Stones, yeah, stones. He goes inside the car. And he's running away now. Look at that. You're dangerous. He's inside his car. This is hailstorm. This is what amazed me as well in Iraq. What happened? Iraq is the border, and what is all the time is desert, all the time is hot. Especially these days, you can't have winter winters in January, February, but not now. So this is amazing. That what happened is, look at that. This is during 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Look what happened. Look. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Look. 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 2 o'clock in the afternoon. مثلا الشيعة ده سام الشيعة. You see the sun? Look at the sun. Now the sun is going to sit here. Look. Look. That's it. Dhuhr. This is Dhuhr. You can't see, that's it. Night. Look, just that little sun there.
Is it a sandstorm or rain? Sand.
It's like sand with rain mixed up.
Oh, mixed.
Amazing, there's nothing. Black. That's really scary. طيب. لا إله إلا الله سبحانه الله. Good. Didn't say Hussein or Ali. طيب, this is the second way of doing it. No specific prayer for this one. It is normal Jumu'ah prayer. And the third one, making istisqa dua any day without prayer, whether inside or outside the mosque. And this is a hadith based upon hadith of Anas, recommended to ask a pious person to make a dua. The Umar al-Khattab, he asked Al-Abbas to seek the rain. Okay? So he went to Al-Abbas and he said to Allah, "Oh Lord, we used to seek rain through the Prophet of Allah, but the Prophet of Allah is dead. So we're seeking rain now through the uncle of the Prophet." So the uncle of the Prophet, he raised up his hand and asked for rain, and rain came. So you ask a pious man. But listen here, the good proof to say there's no seeking intercession through the Prophet of Allah. Who's better, the Prophet or Al-Abbas, his uncle? The Prophet. If it was intercession through the Prophet is allowed, then we're not going to go to Al-Abbas. So that's through the Prophet. But because the Prophet is dead, they don't seek through him. So they sought the intercession, or it's through the Abdullah Al-Abbas himself, which is the uncle of the Prophet of Allah, because he was alive. When you see the rain, it is beneficial to say, Allahumma sayyiban nafi'a. That's the dua. Allahumma sayyiban nafi'a. Oh Lord, make it beneficial rain. Okay, sujood tilawah. And this is the last thing we're going to be handling tonight.
The frustration of reciting the Quran. Ibn Hazm stated in Muhalla, there are 14 places of frustration in the Quran. The first is at the end of Surah Al-A'raf, then in Al-Ra'd.
No, Arafah, there's no Surah Al-A'raf.
At the end of Surah Al-A'raf.
Al-A'raf, then Al-Ra'd, then Al-Nahl, then Al-Isra, then Maryam, then Al-Hajj. And here he says in the Hajj, in the first one, and there is not in the second one. We believe there is in both. So there is at the beginning, there's 2 sajda in Surah Al-Hajj. So we say that there is 2 prostration, not 1. And in Al-Furqan and Al-Naml, and Surah Al-Sajda, and Surah Al-Sad, and Surah Fussila, Surah Al-Najm, Surah Al-Sama' Inshaqqat, and اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق, Surah Al-Alaq. Surah Al-Sama' Inshaqqat and Shiqaq. There are, so how many we got now? How many? 15, not 14. You can add 1. Okay, the rule of sujood. Now,
the ruling of this prostration, Ibn Hazm also said, this prostration is not obligatory, but it is virtuous. This prostration is to be made during the obligatory or voluntary prayers, outside of the prayer at any time, such as when the sun rises, sets, or passes the meridian. It may be done towards the Qibla or not towards the Qibla, It can be done in a state of purity or while in a state of impurity.
Okay. So this is not a salah. Sujood tilawah is not a salah. Prostration. So it doesn't need to have to be in wudu. It doesn't have to be towards the qibla. You make the sujood. Of course it's better towards the qibla, but it doesn't have to be. Of course it is better to have wudu, but it don't have to be for sujood tilawah. Now,
As for it being a virtuous act and not obligatory, one can see that the Prophet ﷺ read Surah An-Najm, prostrated, while Zayd ibn Thabit read it to him, and he did not prostrate, in order to show that such is permissible, as Ibn Hajar noted in Fiqh al-Bari, volume 2, page 555.
so it is important to know that it is not compulsory. For those who pray, for example, Surah Al-Sajda, every time they pray Salat al-Jumu'ah at the Fajr, no harm. But if they make sujood all the time when they make the prostration tilawah, that's against the sunnah. Because people think it is what? Compulsory. And even if the people, they don't really, if the imam did not pray, they will say to him, sujood sahu, please. Because you haven't prayed the sujood tilawah. And I'll tell you what, in some of the people's madahib, that the Jumu'ah for them, in the Fajr, they have to pray sujood sajda. So if they don't pray sajda, they will command you to make what? Sujood sahwi. So the thing is, had to be sajda. And that is why the imams there, they would recite, because if they're not hafiz, or maybe the people that are very annoyed because it's too long, this was the sajda, they will tell them to recite just half of it from the sujood tilawah, and that's it. And that's a bid'ah. Either you recite all of it in the first rak'ah, and Surah Al-Insan in the second rak'ah, or you don't recite it, recite something else. Okay? So it's a bid'ah to keep reciting just a couple of verses from there, a couple of verses from the surah in the second rak'ah. Now, if the imam recited another surah, it doesn't have to have sujood tilawah. So Sheikh Al-Albani tells us a story of himself, that he came to the masjid, and it was a new masjid for him. And it happened, the imam was not there. So the people saw the Sheikh has got the beard, he looks, mashallah. So they invited him to go and lead the prayer, and it was a Jummah. So the Sheikh, he said, I wasn't really preparing for sujood sajda, because I wasn't expecting to lead. So he recited Surah Maryam. So he said, Kaf, Ha, Ya, Ayn, Sad, Dhikru. And when he stopped somewhere in the Surah Maryam, he said, Allahu Akbar, everybody went to prostration. They are also valid. They have to make sujood tilawah. So he said, Allahu Akbar for ruku'. People went to what? Sujood, because khalas, their imam got used to the first rak'ah, you have to have sujood tilawah. This is Bayat Jumu'ah. Fajr al-Jumu'ah. So he said, someone behind me went to sujood tilawah, someone did not. Chaos. So these people, I have recited Kaf, Ha, Ya. There is no sujood tilawah in that surah. Why do you make it? I didn't recite sajda, so they recited make sajda. Fine. We understand now that sujood tilawah is not compulsory. And also, go and read, please.
Ibn Hazm further said, as for prostrating without ablution or not towards the Qibla, this is all because it is not a prayer. Prophet ﷺ said, the prayer of the night and day are 2 rak'ahs each. Thus anything less than 2 rak'ahs is not a prayer, unless there is some text stating it is a prayer, like the prayer of the witr prayer or the funeral prayer. However, there is no text stating that the prostration she's reciting is a prayer.
Okay. Well, we have Abdullah ibn Umar himself in Sahih al-Bukhari that he used to make prostration of tilawah with no wudu. Also the Prophet ﷺ, when he used to make sujood tilawah, used to be a lot of people with him. We did not have any other narration to say that some of them they made wudu. And it is impossible that everybody is with him on wudu. So even some of the kuffar used to make prostration along with him. And they are impure regardless if they make wudu or not, because of kuffar. But they used to make sujood tilawah as well with him. It is narrated in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim with the authority of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud that the Prophet ﷺ one day he recited Surah Al-Najm, وَالنَّجْمِ. So everybody prostrated, and also prostrated along with him some, okay, who are not from those who are Muslims. And from the Shuyukh of Quraysh, what he did, the chief of the Quraysh, he took some pebbles from the floor or some sand, and he raised it up to his forehead, and he said this would be enough. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said, I have seen this person being killed as a kafir. فَقَدْ رَأَيْتُهُ بَعْدُ قُتِلَ كَافِرًا. He died as a kafir. This person just took some pebbles, put it in her forehead, and said this is enough. Arrogance, basically. Right. So after this, we're going to go to the Fadli. Go on.
Its virtues. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, when the descendant of Adam recites a verse of prostration and prostrates, Satan departs crying and saying, Oh woe, the descendant of Adam was ordered.
Woe to me, Ya Wayli.
Woe to me, the descendant of Adam was ordered to prostrate, and he prostrated, and for him is paradise, while I was ordered to prostrate, and I disobeyed, so for me is the hellfire.
So if you want to make the shaitan cry, make sujood tilawah, but according to the Prophet ﷺ sunnah. So don't you ever think that, oh, let me go now recite just the ayat called sujood tilawah and prostrate tilawah and make him cry. No. It's like when you recite Quran, when you are in the prayer, then you make sujood tilawah. But if you did not make sujood tilawah because it is the sunnah to make sujood tilawah all the time, that's also would make the shaitan cry. Do you understand that? Following the sunnah, always follow the sunnah. So it's not to follow what you think is correct. Now, what does he say when he makes sujood?
What one says upon prostrating, Aisha radiallahu anha said, during the prostrating of recitation at night, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would say,
سجد وجهي للذي خلق وشق سمعه وبصره بحوله وقوته. Meaning,
my face is prostrated to the one who created it and brought forth its hearing and seeing by his power and might. Ali narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would say,
اللهم لك سجدت وبك آمنت ولك أسلمت أنت ربي سجد وجهي الذي شق سمعه وبصره تبارك الله أحسن الخالقين.
O Allah, to you I prostrate, in you I have believed, and to you I submit. You are my Lord, my face is prostrated to the one who created it, then shaped it, and brought forth its hearing and seeing by his power and might. Blessed be Allah, the best of creators. Ibn Abbas said, I was with the Prophet ﷺ when a man came and said, last night I saw what people see when sleeping.
Let me just see a dream now.
I saw as though I was praying towards the foot of a tree. I recited
Towards a what?
A foot of a tree.
A foot of a tree, yeah, to the trunk of a tree now.
I recited a verse of prostration and prostrated.
Not, I recited Surah Al-Sajda.
I recited Surah
Al-Sajda and I prostrated.
The tree prostrated with my prostration. I heard it saying,
I heard the tree saying, yes. اللهم احطط عني بها وزرا واكتب لي بها أجرا واجعلها لي عندك ذخرا.
O Allah, remove from me due to it a sin, record for me due to it a reward, and store it for me with you. Ibn Abbas.
Hold on, and there's another addition to this, which is authentic. He added to this, وَتَقَبَّلْهَا مِنِّي كَمَا تَقَبَّلْتَهَا مِنْ عَبْدِكَ دَاوُدَ. And accept it from me just like you accepted it from your slave, your servant, Dawood alayhi salam. So the person would say, Allahumma احطط عني بها وزرا واكتب لي بها أجرا واجعلها لي عندك ذخرا وتقبلها مني كما تقبلتها من عبدك داود. نعم. Abdullah ibn Abbas said,
Ibn Abbas further said, I saw the Prophet ﷺ recite a verse of prostration and then prostrate. I heard him saying in his prostration the same was what the man had heard the tree say.
So this is a dream which is being approved by the Prophet, but nobody to come now and say, I've got a dream that this is what I've just seen and this is the dua that I have heard. We don't have the Prophet to approve it for you. So this dua has been approved by the Prophet of Allah, just like the adhan was all of it a dream. It was a dream from Abdullah ibn Zayd. Okay, but now to have a dream and to make your own laws and or jama'ah and or methodology based upon dream. You know Jama'at al-Tabligh? Jama'at al-Tabligh, the one who goes from one place to another, all their manhaj is based upon a dream. Muhammad al-Yaskandari seen a dream when he was in Medina. So that dream became holy dream, from which they derived the Sifat al-Sitta, the 6 pillars, Sifat al-Sitta, and all of that based upon a dream. But this dream has not been approved by the Prophet. Religion is complete by the death of the Messenger of Allah. Right, let's now summarize what we have just said in points. So there are no prerequisites for this sujood. There's no qibla, no purification, nothing. Permissible at any time in any prayer. So it doesn't, whether it's going to be the time of prohibition or time, at any time. Disliked for Imam to do it in the silent prayer. So if the Imam is reciting Dhuhr prayer and suddenly he prostrated, sorry, I don't know what he's doing, because they're going to say to you, Allahu Akbar. So you think you did a mistake. Instead of going to ruku', he went to this prostration, and then he insists, and he says, Subhanallah, he's insisting. And after the prayer, I have recited, a surah which contains sujood tilawah. You're confusing people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Cannot be done in silent. It has to be in loud recitation. Prostration to be performed right after the recital or hearing the verse. Delaying it doesn't rescind, it's accepted if delayed it for an extended period. So, as soon as you hear the verse finished, you do the recitation. Now, no takbir is required, and that's controversial, whether you are in the prayer or outside the prayer. Whether you are going to the sujood or coming out of the sujood. There's no takbir. There's no Allahu Akbar, and then you stop the recitation after the ayat al-sajda, and you know that the sujood tilawah, we just said it before, you remember? It's called the spade mode. Supplication while performing it, that's what we have just said it, just now. Supplication, you've got 2. اللهم لك سجدت وبك آمنت ولك أسلمت سجد وجهي للذي خلقه وشق سمعه وبصره تبارك الله أحسن الخالقين. Or اللهم احطط عني بها وزرا واكتب لي بها أجرا واجعلها لي عندك ذخرا وتقبلها مني كما تقبلت من عبدك داود. طيب, if you have more than one sajda, sujood tilawa, after one after the other, well, if you could just make your prostration at the end of the final recitation. But if you did it in the first one, it would be better to do it in the second one. There is no qada for it. So if somebody recited sujood tilawa or you recited ayah fiha sajda, and it contains sajda, and then you didn't make the sujood tilawa, you can't make it after an hour or half an hour. So it's finished. Right, sujood al-shukr, we could really we'll end with this because only a few lines, 1, 2, 3 lines.
Prostration of thankfulness. It is recommended to make a prostration of thankfulness following the example of the Prophet ﷺ for anyone who has received a blessing or has been saved from some disaster or has been given glad tidings of something that pleases him. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu said, whenever the Prophet ﷺ received good news or news that made him happy, he would immediately prostrate out of thankfulness to Allah, the Blessed and Exalted. The same ruling that applies to the prostration or recitation applied to this prostration.
Point number 1, that means there is no prerequisites. So it doesn't have to have a qibla, purification, takbir, taslim, it's only prostration. So you can prostrate at any moment, no restriction. No specific dua, but general words expressing your gratitude. No specific dua. So you heard the news, something like being saved, you fall on your face, regardless whether you're qibla, don't say the qibla, just fall on your face, stay away. Okay, fall on your face, regardless of the qibla or the qibla, pure or not pure, doesn't matter. Fall on your face and make prostration to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah says, وَلَإِنْ شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you just express your gratitude, I will give you more. Notice here there is no prayer of shukr. There's people think 2 rak'ah of shukr. It's only sajda, sujood shukr. Okay? By this, alhamdulillah, we finished. If you have any question regarding the verse,